Karen's HOA arrogance had reached a new extreme when they tried to drain the water from my lake cabin. Their claim? Some ridiculous excuse about community water management. What they didn't realize was that I controlled the entire plumbing line supplying their own properties, and they were about to discover just how powerless they really were. I first noticed unusual activity when my smart sensors flagged tampering with the valves on the main water line. Someone had attempted to reroute the flow, clearly intending to empty my lake cabin of water. The audacity of the HOA to interfere with my property was staggering, but I had anticipated such moves. I immediately contacted the county authorities and prepared my countermeasures. Knowing that Karen and her HOA board members were likely to return to complete their sabotage, I monitored the property closely with cameras and remote sensors. Sure enough, late that evening, Karen and 2 of her HOA volunteers appeared near the main intake valve. They were armed with wrenches and hoses, confident that their plan would succeed. Karen, waving a clipboard and muttering about rights and regulations, had no idea I was fully aware of their every move. I approached calmly, phone in hand to record the encounter and provide evidence to the sheriff if needed. "Karen," I called out, "step away from the water line immediately. You have no authority to interfere with my property. Any further action is illegal." Karen turned, shock registering on her face. I'm just enforcing community rules. You can't." I cut her off. "Funny you mention that. While you try to control my water, you may not realize that I manage the entire supply line that services your properties. Any attempt to tamper will not only fail but could have serious consequences for your HOA homes." Her eyes widened as the realization hit. The valves they had tried to manipulate were fully under my control. With a simple adjustment from my remote system, I reversed any tampering, ensuring that the flow remained uninterrupted to my cabin while cutting off unauthorized attempts to interfere. By the time law enforcement arrived, Karen was panicking. Deputies reviewed the camera footage and confirmed multiple attempts at tampering, trespassing, and potential property damage. Citations were issued immediately, and Karen's claims of authority were formally dismissed. I didn't stop there. To prevent future incidents, I installed reinforced security barriers around the water intake, advanced surveillance systems, and clear signage. Private property, no HOA or unauthorized access. Water controlled by property owner. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Karen and her volunteers had no choice but to leave humiliated and powerless. Their attempts to interfere with my cabin's water supply had failed completely, and they had left a permanent record of illegal activity. From that day on, my lake cabin and the water supply remained fully secure. Karen learned, painfully, that control over essential resources requires authority, preparation, and legal power, none of which the HOA possessed. The lesson was unforgettable. When you try to manipulate property without permission, the owner's control always prevails. Karen's failed attempt at draining my lake cabin water became a cautionary tale, leaving her reputation in ruins and my property entirely unthreatened.